Welcome to Inside the Pantry, the podcast where we discuss everything school, food, and business. I'm your host, Luke Concilio. Today's episode is especially close to our hearts and any heart of anyone who's a parent. We're joined by Nadim, who co-founded Natasha's foundation after the tragic loss of his daughter many years ago. But that sent them on a mission to raise awareness around allergies, especially in children, and focus of that really within schools. It's for me a personal honour to be sat with someone who's actually changing people's lives every single day. So welcome Nadim, everyone. Welcome.
Thank you.
As always, we've got Anthony in the background who will be cooking some delicious food for us. Welcome.
It's good to be here. Thanks. And you make a very good cup of tea.
Well, thank you very much. It's on my CV. All the things I've achieved, that is definitely top. And I know how busy you are, so I really appreciate your time. So firstly, if I was to come to your house, what three things would I find in your pantry?
Oh gosh,
Yes,
in my
curveball
pantry.
question.
That's a curveball question. They did warn me about this. That's right. Okay, so you find probably a carton of beetroot juice,
Oh, wow.
which I drink a glass every day. You'll find some good mozzarella in there, always.
Nice.
Pretty much always. I think only one day a week there might be no mozzarella in the fridge. And that's a sad day. Etc. And then I think the other thing probably find, quite a lot of fresh vegetables, mainly kind of versions of green vegetables, from beans to leeks to courgettes, and spring onions, things that we'll just kind of grab and add to food as we're making it, usually in the evenings.
So it sounds like quite a healthy household in terms of eating. And did that come from your dad? So your dad was involved in the fruit and veg game, wasn't he?
Yeah, so my granddad basically effectively had the contract to feed 10,000 British soldiers in the garrisons. This was in the garrison town of Quetta, which was just on the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan. And in those days, he looked after, all food and drink going in and out for the British Army, and also all the entertainment. So owned all the cinemas for the ladies and all the tea rooms, because it was very much drinking tea 100 years ago and all that. But that part of my life through my dad has come through to the way I grew up, really eating. I can't tell you how many fruits and the variety of fruits, every single fruit I could ever imagine on the planet, basically used to come through our house regularly, basically. And the fruit bowl was absolutely so high, it was like Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. You mentioned your dad's from Afghanistan. Is that what?
Yeah, that's right.
And what about your mum?
My mum's from France, so originally from Paris. So I grew up with a very unusual household in terms of food. Very strong French cooking influence, very strong actually. Traditional French, the kind of creamy sauces, the butter, etc., etc. And then my dad's side had very much into spices and all sorts of things that like cardamoms and all sorts of Middle Eastern spices. And I grew up with a bit of both. And then I had my school lunch in the middle.
What did sort of dinner look like then? Was it led by one person in particular? Did your mum do all the cooking, or was it a mix?
To be fair, my mum did most of the cooking, and my dad did most of the directing, where we would go eat out and direct. Yeah, that's a very traditional. So we'd always eat out in all sorts of kind of Persian restaurants, or what might be called Iranian now, or however you look at it, and many other types of restaurants. So we're always going out. It's quite complex, that kind of cooking as well. It takes perhaps days sometimes to prepare for the flavors and so on. And both my parents were working, so I never had that kind of time to do that.
Our family, growing up, and I've got two brothers, we always had one of our friends around. It was just a communal activity. But it's not until you got a bit older where you go to other people's house and you realise that community isn't there sometimes. And sometimes it's dinner on your lap or whatever it might be. So when you have friends come to yours, and not only is there that community, but a level of food probably and vegetables that they've never seen before. How did your friends find that?
Well, I remember it was very different than their upbringing, because their food, I remember when I would go to theirs, etc., was really super simple. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but actually I found it quite bland and didn't have much taste or aroma about it. It was more stuff on a plate, effectively. So everyone eats different, especially, when I was growing up, there was not the prevalence and knowledge of a lot of foreign foods and dishes that there is today.
Awareness for children it's just the first hurdle. Once when you pass that and sort of breaking down that initial barrier, it's one step closer to them potentially trying it. A child is never going to try it if they never see it.
Yeah, and I think definitely the earlier you try foods, the better, and a varied varied sort of vegetables, fruits, and different ways of cooking it as well, actually. Produces a sort of a broader base of nutrient-rich food, which helps you grow, helps you make you more clever,
Yeah, absolutely.
better at football, and generally, stronger in the rest of your life. Thinking about it, it's fair to say that caterers or chefs, caterers, providers of food to school children, especially at the younger age, actually have quite a responsibility, to say the least, and actually can be great opinion formers for the future of those children's life after school when they've left school. Because at their home, they may not be experiencing the level of cooking and variety that they're getting through their school lunch.
I know that you and I were at Parliament recently, sort of together, sort of on the back of a later event where we're campaigning for like more funding across the industry. The whole point is the more money we can get, the more we can put into better recipes, better ingredients, better education. We got a team within our business where we have nutritionists who go into schools providing sessions, teaching people how to cook, bread making sessions. Anthony done bread making session just the other week. So it's that where I think the funding is most needed.
No one could argue, I think any sensible person could argue that it is not good to not invest in children. You've got to invest in children. The food is part of that, because food, armies march on their stomach, and you don't just fill them up with any old thing. It's got to be the right stuff, and you'll see, children flourish more in every way. Put good food in the heart of everything, and everything around like this will improve. It's that simple, really.
I agree 100%. And especially as we move into the age of AI and technology, this experience is going to be even more valuable. It's going to be the time where you do come together with your grandparents, your parents, your brothers, your sisters. So I think we should be putting even more emphasis on it.
Absolutely. It's probably the one time you can legitimately say, right, phones down, not even down, off the table, and come together as a family. And the family is everything, really. For those that have families, but friends, and that whole camaraderie and around food. It's been like that for thousands and thousands of years, and to lose it would be actually, I think, losing a fundamental part of the human beingness of the way we live our lives.
So food experience wise, so you've got obviously very cultural growing up food wise, but then also you done some traveling. That's sort of your biggest influence. So you went into sort of Asia, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to travel a lot. So before I was in the charity world, I was in the business world, if you like, which just meant that I was really traveling a lot. And some years I remember visiting around 26 countries in a year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so from Japan, all of the countries over there, Brazil, and of course America in between, and upwards that way, and then downwards something else, etc. And you'd be kind of socializing with lots of people, and they'd always want to take you to great restaurants. That's the first thing basically they want to do. And what was, I think, the most stunning thing, of course, I knew European food quite well in the broad brush sense, but going to Korea and Japan and countries like that, particularly Japan and Korea, actually, I just was astounded how entire society, or massive millions and millions and millions of people, live on a diet that is so fundamentally different than the one I'd known or grown up with. Almost no dairy to speak of, nothing much from a cow, some beef, but no milk. Even their ice cream was made from rice, for example.
Oh wow. So
And it was astonishing to see all these different foods with their flavors, and the smells were like mind-boggling. Some were not good, right? I'm going to tell you now.
not always possible.
When I was in China, in the kitchens, in the big restaurants, I'd walk through to the toilet, and there'd be massive live crocodiles on the floor, massive, with their arms and legs tied back, alive, and wait just there as you walk past and waiting to be killed, to be ordered once they've been ordered.
What a culture shock is that?
And all these other animals in cages. It was like going to the zoo, packing it all into a very large kitchen, and they're just waiting their turn when someone ordered. Now that was a bit brutal, but in Korea and Japan, the broths and the different flavors were amazing. I think one of the things that blew my mind was in Japan, that sashimi cooking, and going to a restaurant that only does that, nothing else.
It's the chef who spent years doing that same.
Oh my gosh! And his knife was like, honestly, twice the size of my hand, so razor sharp that even just the weight of the knife would start to cut through my finger. And expertly cutting the vegetables, which were actually simple vegetables. They weren't like weird exotic vegetables per se. And then doing just the right kind of everything. And he's standing in front of you doing it, and you're about to eat it probably 10 seconds after he gives it to you. And it's so fresh, so tasty. and tastes so different than if it had been made 1 hour ago or even the day before. And this kind of commitment to detail about food culture was mind-blowing. All the ingredients were largely totally different, and all sorts of things derived from other kinds of processes and other kind of natural materials of food. And particularly the taste and the smells were so different than anything that I'd come across in Europe. I'd lived a bit in Sweden, in the forests. I used to go out, row a boat out into a lake, put a net out down there, and then go back in on Sunday. 2 hours later, go out of the boat, pull the net out full of fish, and then grill it on the side. Fresh and everything, but nothing like the freshness and the smells and tastes from Korea and Japan.
What's the most out there food that you've eaten in those sort of countries?
Gosh, it was a bit scary. Can I say it for the podcast?
Yeah, say well, it's too bad.
So this could be a trigger warning,
Okay.
basically. Okay, so I think the one that really got me was early days in China, like back in the 90s. When I went there, I had no idea what they did with monkeys. And we'd just done a deal, and essentially you celebrate with food. I mean, Chinese, big on food, big on family, celebrating around food. Absolutely, as we all imagine. Along came the waiter, put the dish down, and lifted off, the thingy. There was a large monkey's head.
Neither were
right? Just the head, like this teapot, there with the skull sawn off and the brains visible. And you're meant to basically share that as a sharing dish, and you pick off parts of the brain and you eat it like that while you're swigging cognac and you're chatting.
So what was your reaction when they pulled that cloche off?
When that cloche came off, I can't tell you what happened. I was so shocked. I thought it was unreal. I thought, like a joke, but no, this was a celebratory meal. And the weird thing was, I could not eat it. I just couldn't. I had to say this, just respectfully. But by the time the meal had ended, which was like 2 hours later, rigor mortis was setting into which was obviously a fresh monkey, right? The eyes were closed when it arrived, and it was opening as we were eating and was staring at me like that.
Not talk too much about your expertise around allergies, but
Yes.
in those parts of the world, then you mentioned earlier that dairy isn't particularly used.
That's right.
So, and I know that across the UK and in the West, so that's one of the bigger allergies. So, do they not have many people with that allergy out there? Because I'm assuming it comes from culturally, your allergies.
Traditionally, allergies are a lot less, say 5-10 years ago in Korea and China and Japan. They're just not really so prevalent. And there's some kind of ideas around why that is. I mean, England or UK is the worst country in Europe for food allergies, and I've got about somewhere around 4 million people in the UK, many of those children in schools with food allergies. And that's a much higher statistic than in France and Germany and Spain, though they're all coming up. The Japanese today, now their number one allergy, buckwheat, the type of wheat that they make their noodles from, buckwheat allergy, which we don't have here because we just don't eat buckwheat at all. I mean, we have wheat allergies, yes. And similarly in Korea, I think they're running around 6% of the population of Korea have food allergies. And that's come from nowhere. Like, honestly, 10, 15 years ago, it would have been maybe 1%. So it's really shooting up. And there is a link to a degree between the more processed foods you eat, and they do eat a lot actually of processed foods in the office when they're working in offices. No time to go off and have a lunch, and etc. So it's all highly processed foods basically, and they're not very useful or healthy for your gut essentially. And the result of that is it helps to a degree drive up the rate of food allergies.
Well, what's the rough percentage in the UK of people with allergies then?
Okay, so you've got in terms of numbers actually, officially 2.4 million adults, and that's very conservative. So it's probably nearer the 3 million actually. And then in terms of children, that's children are classed as below 18 years of age. It's anywhere between 500,000 and somewhere 1 million. It depends on really how those allergies are classified. In fact, it's actually, if you add intolerances in, so your food allergy, celiacs, and food intolerant people, you're looking at around 8 million people in the UK. Yeah, essentially all those people are having real problems around the food they eat and the choices they have to make daily. And of course, allergy is the only one that can be fatal.
Yeah.
The other two are not good, but they won't kill you.
So, to give you a bit of an update on what Anthony's been preparing today. So, as we know with all our guests, we share something that goes onto our school menus, our primary school menus in particular. So Anthony today has made a fish pie. That's your one.
Oh, fab.
Use a slight mess on the
That's
side there.
okay. That's fine.
So
So you won't get the job at serving at the Ritz.
well, but I did apply. So there's a bit there, some salad there. Please help yourself, and so on and so forth, and anything else you need. And this is what we're trying to put onto our school menus.
Yes.
Look, I'm sure if you gave most children the option, they'd have chicken nuggets every single day. But that's not what our job is, and that's not what our responsibility is. So to encourage them that you can take some real fresh ingredients and make them quite delicious.
Yeah.
That's the journey.
And it's a good journey. It's the right journey. I think mums and dads or adults, really, it's incumbent on us to help the next generation understand what food, and and it's not just what keeps them alive, but it's the pleasure of food, and it's the one thing that we really all have in common, whether we think differently about politics or whatever.
It is the ultimate equalizer. All those things about building positive memories around it, I think it's just as important sometimes as the food.
No, you're right. You're quite right. It is. It's not just the eating. It's the process of the getting to the eating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what about your children? So do you sort of teach them to cook? Were you experienced there? Is that something you're passionate about?
Alex, our son, who's 22 now, he taught himself to cook from YouTube. What's incredible is that he loves cooking. He loves food, and he likes to do it in a kind of his own way, which is take charge of the kitchen. Me and dad and mum have to leave the kitchen because you can't have us in the room. But he does it really well, and he cares about whether it's this or that, etc. And then when we're eating, he talks about it. And is this right? How do you feel about maybe should I have done more of this or that?
Brilliant.
Well, I kind of go, where's that come from? Because we didn't do that. We didn't teach him that. He saw us cook. Don't get me wrong, but we never had what you'd call real kind of cookery lessons as such. He's really picked it up essentially from his love of it, from watching others cook on YouTube.
Brilliant.
And then copying, and then becoming the inventor of his own things. And that's great. I'm really thankful that he's got that side to him, rather than a side that says, I'm just going to go get another fast food type thing, This fish pie is really good, actually. Yeah, really, really good, actually.
So what were school meals like? So obviously at home, fabulous food. French mum who was really passionate about cooking, all the spices from your dad. And then what were your school meals like?
School meals were really basic. It's fine, but it didn't taste of anything, and it looked terrible, is the truth. I'm not saying my experience was much different maybe than others at that time in that era, but very watery, and all that water just filling on the plate, going all around your mash, which was already watery, and then some massive peas. We used to call them cannonball peas.
Cannonball peas?
Massive. I mean, sort of size of cue balls. Well, of course, they were cold completely, but also by the time you get served them and they roll around the plate in the water, etc. They go for a swim in your plate, and then so I used to just take my spoon like that, basically, on my fork, and I used to put them there like that, one at a time, and then whack them like that and shoot them onto all the other tables, one after the other, and that's how I dealt with my peas.
And that's how you got rid of them. So
yeah, that's how I got rid of them. That's right.
Yeah. The problem with that is every time you go back, they go, "Oh, Nadim loves his peas. Give him extra.
Give him extra." Yeah. Oh.
It's that, and it's really important that we hear from mixed people with different backgrounds about their school meals, because that for you could have been the difference between I don't eat fish anymore. If you didn't have that at home, you didn't know that, and your only experience was being at school and it being dreadful like that.
No, and I'm sure actually that was the effect on many of my friends. The food they got at school didn't play in any way a positive experience for them.
Andy, that was fab. That fish pie.
Can I take some home for my wife?
Absolutely. School lunches weren't a particular success. What about into senior school? Did they change?
They're so bad. We'd basically just go out every day into the high street. And I have to say the choices were pretty poor, nutritionally, but that felt better, weirdly enough, than staying in and and queuing and everything else. So really, really hardly touched school food during secondary school.
Going to move on to a bit of business talk, if that's okay.
Yeah.
In a previous life, you were involved in the toy industry, which I find fascinating, by the way.
As a toy designer, in fact, for decades as a toy designer, and designing a lot of well-known Action Man products, a lot of Cindy Dolls products, and a lot of other things like wooden train sets for Brio and so on. And so I'd spend my literally from 8 in the morning till 7 or even late because I used to work long hours, designing and creating the next big thing for those toys, and became really, which myself and the team became really good at it, and became the number one go-to people around the world for this sort of stuff. It was a great way to make a living, actually. Yeah.
How exciting was that? You started that in your 20s, did you?
Yeah, but it's about, I think I was about 23 when I started that company, and then it grew, till I was about 30, and then I changed the nature of the company to actually making the toys that we created ourselves as well. So, yeah.
How long did you do that for? When did you stop?
Gosh, pretty much stopped, really, to be fair, when my daughter died. Natasha died from food allergy. I just lost the mojo completely to pursue anything I'd done before. It didn't mean anything to me anymore. It made no sense, had no value, and also I couldn't emotionally cope with any of those things. It was a very busy life. She passed away nearly 9 years ago, and it was just a few years after that I just decided to hang up the gloves, and that was the end of it, and go into the charity world to try and help other people, essentially.
So, and that was because of an allergy that she had.
Food allergy, yeah. She was allergic to a number of things like dairy, so cow's milk, different nuts, and sesame seeds. And we got caught out really badly when we bought a sandwich in a well-known chain, a big one, and it had sesame seeds inside the dough of the bread, but it wasn't marked on the ingredient label on the packaging, and nor was it at all visible when you're through the packaging. And when she ate that before boarding a plane with me, um, you know, she went into anaphylactic shock, very powerful allergic reaction mid-flight, and even though I injected her with EpiPens too, she actually died in front of me on the floor of the plane. And that is the horror of how food allergy can affect, not only young people, but teenagers and in fact adults now. But it's a really serious thing.
And I can't imagine, like, and no one can if they've been for what you've been for. As I say, I'm a dad of 3 daughters, and it makes me well up a little bit even you talking about it. But you took that terrible experience and you've turned it into the most positive, I guess, organization. Currently, you're on a mission to, I guess, make everyone more aware.
Yeah, well, the mission is to ultimately shut the charity down because we've solved the problem, basically. And we believe that, if you use your skills, like a lot of us all have skills which we've learned in our other lives, working lives, or connections, and you get the right people together, actually you can achieve an awful lot. It's about having the right people in the room and all looking the same way and agreeing on the same stuff and willing to put their shoulder to the wheel, not just words, but actions. And I think from that sort of, that kind of experience we've had in the last years, we've been able to galvanize kind of the good and the great, actually helping us on that journey. Because if we shut and make allergy history, literally be able to sort it out, then it's a real blessing, not only for the millions of families out there, but actually for the whole food industry. Then it'll be one massive thing they won't have to worry about in the future, which at the moment is a very worrying thing for anyone in the food industry, understandably so.
So how do you shut your charity down? How do you make that?
Yeah, so it's about working at speed. It's about working really smartly and cleverly on the right stuff and not wasting time fiddling around on the left and the right. And that means we've got expertise that comes to us from people who know and help point us where we need to go, where we need to drive the car, basically, and where we're most likely at a destination to find the solutions rather than going the wrong way, taking a left wrong turn. And that's why we work lots of really renowned, well, not only European, but American scientists in allergy from the top universities, we would all recognize if you say their names, who are leaders in allergy. And as a group, we're working on the really, how should I put it, the direction of travel that we need to take and where we need to spend what you call research money, essentially, to get the best result. That the results will be the most meaningful and impactful for human beings. In other words, how do we dial back allergy, and how do we ultimately switch it off? And when we switch that off, that's the day I literally take this shirt off my back and I just jump into a river and I just swim.
That's
I'm
it.
not sure when I get out.
Oh well, I'll be there with
Yeah.
you. We'll all have to do a mass river swim when that happens.
Yeah.
it's massive. I mean, even I was on an airplane yesterday, and I commented to somebody that I know that worked for the airline. They said, "Oh, there was somebody with a nut allergy on the plane, and the airplane were very good about announcing it, and it was really taken seriously." As they said to me, that was effectively because of what happens to you.
Oh yeah,
as a
yeah,
direct consequence.
Yeah.
And I think that's happening all over the world now.
yeah. We do get contacted by other governments, other countries, saying, "How do we make in our country? It could be Hungary, for example, in Europe or others. How can we make what you've done, oddly enough, in Britain, the UK, happen in our country?" It's odd that other governments would ask us that in a weird way, but they're kind of looking to us as, I say us as a country generally, and those that are actively making change happen, to be the example of how they could pick that up somehow and bring it to their country, because they're seeing rises in food allergy and they're getting more issues around it, and they know you can see the logic of needing to change things.
And all that is from your efforts, and not just yours, your wife as well, Tanya. I'll give her.
Yeah, absolutely. We know since our daughter died, Natasha, we know 50 families who's in the UK whose children have died from food allergy, whether it's at school, in hospitality, in well-known chains, actually, or some of them. And so we know so many families because they phone us, and I take the calls, like I did just recently on the weekend, from a family whose 2-year-old had died in nursery school because the nursery school knew the child was allergic, but still gave milk to the child. So it's ongoing. If we can help broadly the public understand that food allergy is serious, and also if we can help the food industry in the bigger sense get a grip more about it, whether it's people serving the food, cooking the food, or actually the people in the offices somewhere in head office specifying what the foods and the ingredients will be, then they can change some of the things they're doing because they get why it's more important than they might have thought. And that better safeguards the public while we're trying to solve it scientifically and shut it down, completely.
For you personally, that is a heavy weight to carry, because you're now, you and your wife, like the responsibility that you've sort of taken on is side to all of that.
To be honest, it's a very different job than I had before when I was making toys. My gosh, I can't tell you, it's so different. This is so about helping people. So it is a heavy thing, I have to say, sometimes reliving it. But I kind of, to be honest, I go, well, that's what God's called me to do. If this is what I must do, and myself and my wife must do, then we will do it, because it will help millions of people in their worst moments of their life. Yeah. It can't be worse than losing a child. And then the hope part of it is, if we can solve it, we can help millions of people. That's the bit that we really hold to our heart.
I haven't been in that situation, but thank you for doing that for people, because before this happened, those people had nowhere to turn to. At least now they can have a conversation with someone who's been through it.
What we have to go through, is little, effectively, in versus the help and the benefit that can be given to so many more people. It's just part of what we've got to do.
Actually, not, I said earlier about changing people's lives, but you're essentially saving people's lives.
Well, Natasha's law has saved so many people's lives, and we get these letters in from the public saying, if it wasn't for Natasha's law, which is the way food is now labeled with much more information, especially food to go, particularly food to go, and the way we live around food to go, people with food allergic children might have taken some risks, or wouldn't have known, basically, and had a habit of maybe doing certain things. And now with this clearer labeling, basically, they can see what is in the food, at least have a more accurate idea. And now they're making safer and better choices. And there's much more to come. Actually, some really big international things that the King will be more involved with. He has been involved with a number of our projects, and there's a really big one that we're working on, like mega. It's going to go worldwide, and we're hoping to get some really famous worldwide people involved as well.
You mentioned the King, who has on many occasions sort of, I guess, shown support or backing towards you, which is mega.
Yeah, most recently, it was just a couple of months back, or maybe 3 now, when he came out, His Majesty the King came out publicly to back our allergy school program, we'd spent £1 million on it as a charity to produce sort of really strong, professional, high quality resources for schools. On average, it's about 1.5 or 2 children It's very, very average in the UK. In every class has food allergies. For the teachers, essentially, and the head teachers and the governors, anyone who is basically, responsible for something as an adult, to have a better grasp and understanding of food allergies. And also there's content for the children. So the whole idea is children can watch their part of it all, and be entertained and learn. And then the teachers can also partake, and they have a bit of sort of areas just for them. There's a bit more, maybe more serious, if you like. So, and since their safety is paramount, looking after them, just as it would be if they had, some other health condition, helping schools basically means teachers really to understand that situation. The idea is to bring them up to similar knowledge, at least, that caterers have, and they do the job well broadly on average that we hear, but the schools let the system down a bit because they don't have the understanding. So we'd want to level that up, make the whole of the school situation more safe, and give some interesting learning and teaching to kids. And if dealt with sensitively and in the right way, that means in a safe way, not taking it can actually be a much better experience, not just for the child, but actually for everyone. I take the stress levels down, take some of the worry down and the fear down, basically. But the best way to do that in the world, in life, is through knowledge. Knowledge is so empowering. Knowledge is what builds amazing bridges across unbelievable rivers, takes us, the rocket to the moon and then back with people in it. Unbelievable. All these things happen through knowledge, and without knowledge, we tend to make either bad decisions or we make fearful decisions, and they tend to be bad decisions with bad outcomes eventually. But I think one thing we've said, Tanya and I, is that we won't stop until it is done. Basically,
there's no fit for now. No,
yeah,
100% not. Oh, you got something else coming over?
Ooh.
Oh, so Nadim, you mentioned about a brioche sweet dessert. Specifically, when you spoke to Jason, you mentioned one with a pistachio crumb.
Oh, I like a bit of pistachio crumb.
Absolutely. So there's some there,
Okay.
and I'm gonna go for a strawberry. Feel free to take the sharp knife because
does this meet my calories requirement? My daily calories.
This is absolutely now a diet bun, so I've cut it in half.
Okay.
So half the calories, but might be the worst decision ever to make us eat this.
Okay. So if I get this on my face, it's okay. Yeah.
Right, go for it. Go. Auntie is a keen baker and all. Oh, Anthony.
Nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Allergy school.
Yes.
So this is what the big push is, again, back to awareness within children and awareness within teachers.
Yes.
So this is something you've launched, which is accessible for every school.
Yes, free of charge, which is unusual because normally people in the allergy world or in any resources, when you're given, it's often there's a price for it, and whether it's a £1 or £1,000 is a price on it. But we recognised right from the beginning that the only way you can get a big uptake on anything is to give it for free. We've said this will never cost anything, ever. I think it went out to 21,000 schools in February, March. I think it's around 4,000 schools already taken it up, and we're tracking them as they go through it. Pretty much all media, whether it's the unions, so all the 3 key teaching unions, the big ones that cover most of teachers, and head teachers union, the parent governor associations, the Premier League. I mean, all these different organizations are all backing it and pushing it to their members, etc. as well. And I know catering, that's really important part for a lot of caterers as well, because it's a helpful tool as well, in the kind of world of allergies that they live in, they have to deal with every day. It's to be used and to transform understanding and behavior. The key bit is behavioral change. If you get behavioral change, you better safeguard all those millions of people, and we can say that allergy school has done its job. Yeah.
And by that being free, every new reception intake that comes into primary schools, those it's free, so teachers continue to share with those people, and
That's
it's become part.
And we keep updating it, and now we're working on the next version, which is for secondary schools and universities, which will be a whole different look and feel because it's different audience, and different age groups. Yeah.
So, well, I'm sure you get told often, but you are an absolute inspiration, both of you, you and Tanya. Inspiration from taking something so tragic or anything and really sort of pushing the boundaries.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
Before I let you go,
Oh, yeah.
we've got what we call the Quickfire 21, which is 21 questions
Holy moly.
for you to answer just very quickly.
Okay.
There's no right, there's no wrong answer
Yeah.
because the answer is yours. Right, number one.
Yeah.
Favorite hot drink?
A really, really thick hot chocolate. The one that's almost half solid, half liquid. That really gooey one. Yeah.
Favorite cold drink?
I've forgotten the name of it, but it's an Italian type lemonade, fizzy.
Favorite pizza topping?
Like a Lorraine type thing, so nothing too fanciful.
Favorite midnight snack?
I never have a midnight snack as such, but when I'm up late, it's going to be sweet. And it comes out of the freezer, and it's usually got the word cream and starts with the word ice on it.
Favorite childhood meal?
Spaghetti bolognese.
Favorite cuisine?
My favorite cuisine is Italian.
Favorite pasta dish?
The fettuccine with aubergines, tomato sauce, probably had a bit of courgette in it.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
A good pistachio.
Favorite thing to cook for others?
It's a kind. I call it a meat medley. Basically, it's getting 3 different meats: beef, lamb, and pork. People go, oh my gosh, and this meat, oh, and this one. It's like a treasure of meats.
I like it. Guilty pleasure food?
Ice cream.
Favorite barbecue food? I think you said that one a moment ago. Favorite fruit?
I love apricots, good apricots. Yeah.
Favorite veg?
I love leeks. It's really weird. I can eat leeks till I am leaking, literally. I can have them this way, that way, braised, in a wok as part of something else. I just love leeks. It's something unusual. I don't know why.
Favorite kind of cheese?
Oh, cheese. I'm a goat's cheese man. If it's got a bit of goatiness about it, I'm having it.
Bit of goatiness. Favorite dessert?
If it's not ice cream, then it'll be ice cream on the plate, but it will be a very nice tart. So definitely have the fresh fruit on the top and have some kind of very thin base.
Favorite sandwich?
So I do like a good roast beef sandwich with lots of horseradish in it and salad.
Favorite eggs?
Poached.
Favorite potato?
I do like those, what I call sauteed potatoes in butter and olive oil.
What's your favorite topping for toast?
Peanut butter, a good crunchy one.
One more final question before we let you go, and this is a bit of a big one for us, and we've actually got a book. Thank you so much, guys. So all of our guests, we're asking for them to write one piece of advice they would give to their younger self.
Yes.
What would yours be?
I'd say always strive to eat yourself towards good health.
Like that. Nadim, thank you so much. Nadim, everyone, thank you.